Hey, I'm Jordan Green. I'm a photographer based in London but working worldwide. And I figured I'd do a new updated retouching video of my workflow currently. So let's jump into it. So I use Lightroom for all of my cataloging, all of my color edits. Well, pretty much all of my color edits. There's slight things that I can't do in Lightroom that I'll do in Photoshop. But I catalog everything in Lightroom. And this particular shoot with Jasmine, these are my selects from the shoot. So let's jump right into it. As you can see, I've done a couple of edits so far already on just a few of them. But let's do an edit on, what shall we edit? Let's edit, you know what, let's edit this full length one. Right, so we'll edit, is there enough detail in there? No, let's not edit that one. I kinda wanna do this maybe. Yeah, when it loads. Yes, okay, right, we'll edit this one. So right click, no, that's not that one, it's that button. Right click, edit in Photoshop CC 2015. You might not have 2015 CC, whatever. If you got Photoshop installed, you'll have your option in there. So that Lightroom will now do its thing, make a copy of it, put it in its folder, then make a virtual copy within Lightroom catalog itself, and then it'll open it up in Photoshop. Should have opened Photoshop really first. Okay, so the technique that I use uses frequency separation, and basically all it does is split the image into colors and textures and puts them on two separate layers. This is the best way that I've found personally of working, for me at least anyway. It just makes it super easy. So as you can see, let me turn that off. There's just all of the colors. There is no texture in that at all. It is just color. Take that off and put that on, and this is just the texture, so like the skin details. But then as soon as you put the color layer on underneath it, it shows the true image. So I think that's the easiest way of explaining frequency separation. When you kind of grasp that, it becomes a hell of a lot easier. Anyway, I'm gonna try and keep this video like sub 10 minutes, hopefully. So let's jump into it. So using the spot healing brush tool, I usually work on the texture layer first, and I'll just start working away using like the cleaner skin that is around the area that I want to clean up. So the skin texture just matches, because otherwise it'll just look whack. And it's not about changing it, it's just cleaning up the pimples and little bits with skin that models might just look a little nasty from that day, but there's nothing that you can do. So there's some areas that you'll see will need a little bit more work than others. I'm gonna go ahead and speed this section up right now. So the majority of this texture will clean the skin up a hell of a lot, but it really starts to come together when you start working within the color layer as well. That's when it really starts to clean up. I think pretty much done on the texture layer. So I'll show you this real quick. Let's zoom in a little. So you can tell right there that it just cleans it up. It just makes, you're not faking it, you're not airbrushing as such, you're using the skin that's already there, just the cleaner sections of the skin, and cleaning up it generally. And then we'll go into the color layer. So now brush tool, super soft, 0% hardness, and I will literally, usually I'll start on the forehead, big old brush, not too big, but just like a brush size that works for the size of skin or area that you're working on. So I'm not going to use a brush size this huge on like the nose. I'm going to scale it down because it's actually that big. But yeah, so I'll usually start with like what would be the mid-tone of the skin color within the forehead. So which is usually, it's about there, depending on where the lighting's coming from, but I'll always use that as a base. I've got my opacity set to 20 and my flow to 20 so I can paint it on over and over and over and over. And then I'll just start painting, simple as. And then I'll pick up the highlight, make it a little smaller because it's not the most predominant color in there. And I'll just start painting and start fading it all in. And then I'll go for a darker. Start working it in. And instantly, you can tell that I just cleaned it up. Real nice. And then I'll usually go down onto the cheeks and just work my way down. So for the smaller areas, use smaller brushes. And you just keep on painting. And just smoothing all the areas out, all of the skin out. And you're just using, always resample. Like this doesn't have to be done with a Wacom tablet, but sure as hell helps, honestly. So the skin here on our arm, could do with fixing that out a little bit. But then most of that is now texture, so we've painted that out now. That is mostly texture problems that we need to go in and sort out. And I think color-wise, nah, okay, we got a little thing up here. Let's paint that in. All right, that looks pretty good. So now let's switch back to the texture label and sort out these just little bits and bobs down here on our arm. So that, clean that out, clean that. And maybe just this like wrinkle. And for some reason, I just get rid of the wrinkle marks on people's necks. Just looks kind of just looks a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why. I've just always done it, and I just think it looks better, basically. And no one ever gets offended, and I'm pretty sure like it happens all the time. It's not a big deal. Yeah, so that needs to be cleaned up. We've got a lot of stuff repeating there, which I don't like. So I'll resample, take from somewhere else, and paint back over. Okay, and now we've got these all funky little bits here. Just clean that up. Oh, and here. Cool. Okay, that's looking good. It's looking much better. So when I'm now at this stage, this is the majority of the smoothing of the skin and blending all the skin tones itself together so it's a nice, soft, glowing looking skin. At this point, I will now merge the frequency separation group together so it becomes one layer. I will then duplicate that one more time, and I'll make a new layer, and I will fill that 50% gray, and this is where I start to dodge and burn. So I'll switch that to overlay, and then I'll jump into, I always start dodge, and as I did with the coloring and the texture, I'll always start on the forehead. Don't know why, it's just why I do it. I don't know why, I just do it. So again, starting big, from the direction the light is coming from. So in this sense, it's coming from this side. So we'll start on that side and bring it over. So big brush, then we'll swap to a smaller one where the highlights of the light itself is. So you're not faking anything here, you're just enhancing what's already there. Just working there a little bit, and then where it's catching on our eyelids, just catching there a little bit too. And then on her nose. Also, when you're shaping, when you're putting in dodging and burning on the nose, if you center it just down the middle, it's like contouring when girls do it in makeup. Don't overdo it because it looks crappy and fake, but it just helps shape the nose real nice, just a little bit. And on the cheekbones, they appreciate it. And on the chin, just define it, and those bits, whatever those bits there are on the lips, they always look good. And I'll usually just do a bit in the lips themselves, just to give them a bit of volume and pop, to make them look plump. Because every girl wants big lips right now, right? Just paint in. Always don't forget the body as well. People forget that. Body's still part of it. It's still getting the same light. Just hitting it in a slightly different way. So once I've done that, back to the top with the burn brush, and exactly what we did, but now just focusing on the shadows. So I'm, as you see, super low exposure on that, 3%. And it'll pretty much, you'll probably not see any difference, but when you turn it on and off, you'll notice. Like I said, you're not adding stuff, you're just enhancing what's already there. And most of the time I will actually go overboard without knowing that I'm going overboard on the image. So I'll just zoom out and I'll take a look. And I mean, that looks totally fine, but I usually always bring it back down to about 70%. It just, when you turn it on and off, you see, oh, that does look fake. So then I always just bring the effect down. And it's like you see up, especially on the forehead and the face, it's just adding to what's already there. And it's just helping again to smooth out all those skin tones, which is great. So I'll merge that down. I'll now duplicate again. And now I'll go just work on the eyes real quick, because Jasmine has fucking beautiful eyes. Especially on this background, on that red background with the red lips and her ridiculously blue graphite eyes. They just really pop. Just add a little bit more on them lips. I'm like working tiny brush there. You probably won't even be able to tell, but oh okay, it pops just enough. Yeah, just a little. So I'll bring that all the way down, duplicate it one more time, 2 more times, filter, other, high pass. 3 pixels for when I'm working full res. And this is the sharpening stage. I will then change that to soft light. I'll have a look at it. That's a little too sharp, so I'll just bring the opacity down to 50%, and that is totally fine. I will merge that all the way down, flatten it, save. Once that's saved, quit Photoshop. And that is now in my Lightroom catalog. So there's before, there's after. Before, after. Just cleaning it up, real nice. I hope that has helped some of you guys and girls on potential new ways of retouching. As you can see, it doesn't take a long time when you know how to do it. You just have to learn how to do it and how light works and how to just not do the unnecessary bullshit that a lot of people do. Just do the necessary, don't make it look fake, and you can get an edit done in that amount of time and it looks great. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Peace.